Hey everybody, I'm Lee with Olsen Equine, and today we have got an icon in the horse racing industry. Today we have Sleepy GILBREATH with us. And if you don't know him, you need to Google him because he is in 3 Hall of Fames, not one. The Texas Hall of Fame, Riadosa, and the AQHA Hall of Fame. He's had 3 All-American winners and several other wins. I think he's safely forgot more than I know, but I thought it would be so fun to sit down and talk to Sleepy about how to keep horses going at optimum shape and how it applies to barrel horses specifically. So, Sleepy, what do you think is important for keeping horses going?
Well, I think you've got to train them and keep working them. But like I say, I think some people try to overdo it, and it's just kind of according to the horse. Just got to figure them out, what they like, keep them happy.
How do you go about figuring out their individual needs?
Well, I don't know. That just kind of comes natural to me. But just keep an eye on them and watch what's going on with them. And if they're not happy, don't bother them. Leave them alone.
So, how would you do that? Would you do anything daily to check on them?
Well, yeah, like my stable. Like when I was Riadosa, I'd walk through my stable every morning before I ever marked my chart. If horse hadn't cleaned up his feed or wasn't drinking water or standing in the back of the stall, I'd walk them. I wouldn't send them to the track. And to me, I think that's very important in keeping a horse going mentally.
Absolutely. You probably catch a lot of problems early that way too, don't you?
Yes, and mentally and physically.
What about when you've got one that looks like everything's fine? What are you going to do with that horse? Or say he's bouncing off the walls even?
Well, like if I was at the racetrack, I'd jog him about a half a mile and then gallop him a mile.
So when you say jog, do you mean long trot?
Long trot, yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on long trot?
I think that's very important in any horse, more especially young horses. I think you need to teach them how to trot first. And it takes you a long way of horses changing leads, getting in the right leads. If they know how to trot, they know how to handle their body a lot better.
Absolutely. Do you think long trotting, say opposed to loping, lengthens their stride at all or helps them?
I don't know about that. I just mainly, to me, mentally, they learn faster, and they get a lot of benefit out of it too. You keep a horse pretty fit just long trotting.
So I know you enjoy watching the barrel racing on the Cowboy Channel. What's your takeaway? What do you see? What are your thoughts?
Well, they're riding some fast horses, from what I see. And barrel racing, just like everything else in rodeo, they've took it to another level. Mm-hmm. Horses, roping, everything's a bigger level than when I was in it.
Absolutely. Well, if you look at those horses, though, a lot of them have the same bloodlines that yours had, though. I always find that pretty interesting.
Right.
So what about when you're getting a horse that, say, was out for an injury or had a long rest, and it's a good horse and you want to get him back to competition, what would that regimen look like that you would tell somebody to do?
I'd probably just pony the horse, or a lot of people's got these walkers now that you can just put them in there loose and jog them. Just more jogging you do with a horse, the better it is.
Right on. So if you're saying that a walker is good, I could not agree more. We have a Priefert walker, the big one, the 72-foot diameter. some people will say that breakdown happens from doing too many circles. I haven't found that to be the case. Do you think that's?
I don't think that's right. I used to send Roger Daly a lot of babies to break, and they'd tell me, "Oh, he rides them in them round pens, and it messes them up." They'd come from Rogers in great shape.
Oh, nice. So, what about the other tools that we have access to now, like the aqua treads or even the swimming pools? What are your thoughts on those?
Well, they're good in a lot of cases, and an aqua tread, I never had much to do with them myself, so I couldn't tell you a lot about that. But I did swim some horses, and I'd see them using the aqua treads, and I think they worked well on some horses.
Do you think there's any adverse effects to using the water?
I thought swimming a horse, sometimes some horses is a little hard on their stifles. Yeah. But that's my thinking. I don't know that to be true.
So when you're talking about ponying them and exercising them on a walker, where do you value actually riding them? Is that as good or better, or where does that?
You need to ride them some. You sure do. But you don't have to ride a horse every day to keep him fit.
Right. How many, if you were to nail down specific how many times a day this horse, I'll give you an example. You've got a horse that's ready to go, it's completely sound, big rodeos are coming up. How many days a week should we do each thing that you advise to do?
About 3 days a week.
Of what?
Jogging him.
Long trotting?
Long trot, yep.
Would you lope them? Would you, do you think, what about breezing them? How important is that?
I don't. I see some of the barrel racers doing that, but I don't know what good they're getting out of it. I really don't. But
that's very interesting, because common thought and my thought was that you're building up the lungs when you actually breeze them, and by pushing them to the limit that you would while you're making runs.
Yeah. I've never been a believer in pushing a horse to his limit when he wasn't in competition.
Nice. That is gold. Do you think, what about soundness? We've talked a lot about, we're over at our shop right now, and Sleepy just lives down the road, and our friend Lynn Weishauer comes over, and I totally enjoy their presence and conversations every time. But we've talked several times about soundness and about how even the racehorses, they have more lameness than they used to. Do you think that's conditioning, or do you think that's something else?
I think most of it's in their breeding, genetics. Just lucky to have a good horse here in my country to fix them.
A plug's a plug. I couldn't agree more. I feel like that's one of the biggest problems that we have in every industry is if a great horse gets crippled, they end up breeding them and I don't blame them. I would too, but it definitely messes up the gene pool. That's for sure.
If you got a sore-footed horse, you don't have anything. You might as well stay home.
That's a fact. And you really find that in the rodeos too, when everybody leaves from home and everything's going great, and then about a month into it, they start dropping off.
Yeah. Like when I was at the racetrack, everybody blamed it on the track, and I don't know if it's a track, all of it. It's just something that's going to happen with a horse. That's the way it's made.
Speaking of horses, we do have one thing in common. I think we both love horses, specifically good horses.
That's right.
So what do you think is a secret combination to getting a good horse? What do you look for in a horse? When you're looking at a horse, what makes you say that is a good horse opposed to that is a okay horse?
Well, just really the balance, and I like to be around a horse and know what kind of heart he's got. That's to me, that's the kicker. Is that heart.
I find that very interesting. So there's a lot of times you'll see a horse that's maybe a little rude or has maybe I think they're saying a lot of personality now. Do you see that as a positive or a negative? Because I've been around a lot of great horses, and my perception is that they know they're good.
The really great horses I've had, they knew they were good. Refrigerator, for example, he's tough. And you could turn him out in a paddock like for 3 months, and get him back up, and his muscles was just like iron. He'd be ready to run. You could take him and run him after he'd been laid off like 3 months.
So, what do you think about cultivating those big winners? Say when you're working on a young horse, do you feel like you kind of curb them, or I don't know what the word would be, but do you think you hold them back when you make them act and behave specifically, or do you think?
No, I think they've got to have a good mind to compete nowadays.
Right.
Way back there, they thought the wilder there was, the faster they were, but that's not true.
Right.
And
I think maybe we should say that again. Good heart, wow, good behavior helps.
I don't know. Just a lot of that, like these barrel horses, a lot of that just comes natural to them.
Right.
I don't know what makes a great horse. It's they'll go do it. You know?
Right.
But you got to take care of them too. You don't, you know.
Absolutely. Well, any final thoughts? Any advice for the barrel racing community out there?
I don't know. Just stay in the buggy.
Well, I hope you guys all have a great day, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and God bless America.